Hello. Today I'd like to talk about my friend DivKid's Mutes module. I'm going to be a corporate shill because I love you, Ben, and what you've made is really cool, and I immediately put it into my live system. Ben sent me 2 of his new Mutes modules, and what it is a module for muting things. In and out. Pretty simple, right? But that's not very innovative. I've been able to bring things in and out for ages. Why is this exciting? Well, there are a couple of differences. I'd say the main one with the Mutes module is that it's clickless. When you bring things in with the Mutes module, it uses vactrols round the back. So when you introduce elements, and if you were to put a constant tone in, if you were to dab in a constant tone, oh, and by the way, the Mutes has got these awesome switches that if you go right are on, if you have them in the middle they do nothing, and then left, you can dab them like that. Like that. Very nice. And what I've been able to do with the Mutes is to create mutes for my percussion channels. In my live modular system, which we'll play around with a bit more in a sec, I previously had all my percussion going into channel 2 of my Bifaco hex mix. Interesting to mention Bifaco because Mutes is actually made by Bifaco, and it uses the same kind of switches that are on the hex mix, which are momentary, just like this. Or if you flick them to the right, they're on permanently. And so previously where I had to group all my percussion under one switch and only have control over one, I now have control over the individual elements, up to 4 using Mutes. And so in this way, I get kind of, a submix as it were. Although I should point out that the Mutes module does not submix. But there is a clever thing that it does do, which is, by design, I was like, oh, I wish it submixed, but that's not what Ben wanted from this module. He was more interested in a way that the Mutes module could be used as a kind of ascending tool, a way of taking one input, as I have on this second Mutes here, and sending it up to 4 different destinations, or 2 different groups, one source being sent to 2 destinations and another source being sent to 2 if you wish. And what I've set up here, I have the Mutes module, the second one, with a copy of my sequence, a sequence that's running here, which effectively is just some control data. And by turning the switches, I'm able to route that control data around the modular. And perhaps most interestingly here, I'm using channel 2 to send into the Metropolis to modify the sequence. So I'm using a sequence to modify a sequence, but I can turn it on and off with the Mutes. Nice. What is that? That's this. Hush. So it's nice. Mutes is a really simple module. You know, there's lots of other muting modules in Modular. They're different, they have different form factors, and they probably suit different kinds of use cases. But this suits me down to the ground. I've been really used to using these little switches, which are in the hex mix. I really like them. That is amazing. Nice. After all, what is techno? If not just bringing things in and out. Happy days. This is my Chemy's Taiko in the bottom. So this is the other clear distinction, that mutes is clickless. To reiterate, what we mean by that is that if you have a constant tone going into a mixer and you push mute, the abrupt change from the stream containing voltage, the cycle being midway, being cut off dead, creates a pop. Creates a pop when you bring something in, especially. And one of the nice things here is that this uses vactrols to smooth. So there is no click, and I can just bring things in just like that. I know that it's just nice and smooth. If you don't have a mute, the only way to get clickless gating in this way would be to mute the actual control signals themselves. But even then, mute the gates themselves. And you can mute gates with mutes because it supports the sending of voltages, as I'm doing here, just to be clear. The wider picture. So that's kind of the way I've been using this module. Ben's got tons of suggestions for how he's been using it, and I mean, it might sound like, oh, this isn't very special, this is kind of obvious, because of course it's obvious. But just being obvious doesn't mean it already exists, because the only other way for me to get mutes like this was to use my hex mix, and as I say, I've only got 6 channels on the hex mix. This gives me more mutes. And then if you do want to use this as a summing mixer, you do what I do. So the outputs of the mutes are actually going into a little IntelliGel mini Unity mixer. So I've been playing around with this system a lot. Making little subtle changes, including the inclusion of little things like this 2HP comb module, which is excellent for this like little zingy short thing, which we can make out. The Jove is very much still there. One final one. Mutes, ladies and gentlemen. You need them. Thanks, man.